All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Ruchak Wadash, as always. Um, and I want to give double honors to the elder apostles of GMS who rule well, and also honor and salutations to those of you who are of the hopeful elect and are out there teaching the word of sincerity and truth. Excuse me. So, I wanted to talk about something I was thinking about um, a couple days ago, and I had jotted it down and thought about it again today. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit. It's not going to take me long. Just my 2 cents on something. So you look in the news today, right? And what's the big story is the fact that um, these crooked cops are killing Jake, right? And then on the other hand, you got Jake complaining, and we're not going to stand for this type mentality, And we always say this, I always say this, that what do you expect out of a wicked, lawless nation? This is the most wicked people that have ever ruled on the planet Earth, and I don't expect anything different out of them. I expect them to do the things and to allow the things that they've allowed, um, as far as the police killing niggas, right? So I had this argument that with the guy in the cubicle next to me, and he always brings up the fact that uh, white people. This is according to some statistic. I've never seen it, but according to him, there's a statistic out there that says that white people get killed by cops more than black people. And he says this in defense to to Jake's we're not going to take it mentality, and I said to him, I said this, I said, well, let's think about that for a minute, right? Let's say that that's true. You have to ask yourself, if it's not true, right, that black people get killed by the cops more than, let me say, so-called black people get killed by the cops more than white people, right? And white people indeed get killed more often by police. Then why are they only showing situations where a white cop, a so-called white cop, has killed a so-called black person? Why are we only seeing that in the news? That begs the question. What are they trying to stir up by showing that on TV, on the news? What are they trying to do? And and the only conclusion that I can come to is that they're trying to rouse up Jake, right? And they're gonna cause this mighty race war, man. And I said this, few well, shit. I realize it's almost been 2 years now, 2 full years that Trump's been in office. Excuse me. It's almost been 2 years now, and I said, he has to be the guy that they're gonna put in office, because he's gonna be the one to stir up those race wars, man. He's gonna be the one to stir up the race wars that the scriptures talk about, you know. And I'm gonna read about a couple. Read a scripture that talks about it, but um, Donald Trump is the guy, man. Donald Trump is the guy, and his election has created a climate and the tension is thick, man. When I see Esau, like, they're more short tempered with me nowadays, right? And what I mean by that is you can see soon as they see you walking by, you can see their frustration increase, right? You know, Esau cutting you off. They're more bold. You know, they beep the horn at you. They hang out the window, giving you the finger. You know, this presidency has created an environment where you are going to have a race right here. And the reason why I named the show what I named it, right, is because of a story I want to tell real quick, and then I'll go into these scriptures. Like I said, it's not going to take me long. But I remember we had mice in the house at one time, right? And my dad was chasing one of the mice, and we had this closet with the sliding doors, right? And it had shelves. It was like a linen closet, right? And the mouse ran up underneath the bottom shelf. So my dad, you know, had the flashlight on him, shining it, and you can see him. The mouse was kind of backing up into the corner. And when he felt like there was nowhere else where he could go, he, you know, darted at my father. And my father, you know, jumped up and slammed whatever he had in his hand, slammed it on the mouse and killed him. But the point of that is to say that Jake is going to get to a level where they feel like, you know what, we got to fight back, because they're not going to stop. No matter how high we hold our hands, no matter how peaceful we are in protests, we are getting destroyed, and we have to do something, and they're going to fight back. And that's exactly what Esau wants. Exactly what Esau wants is for Jake to fight back so they can implement some of this documentation that they put in place. All these executive orders, and, you know, as I'm going to read an article here about Rex 84 and the King Arthur, what is it called? The King Alfred plan, right? These things are written into legislation for a reason. They want to use these things, much like we say the missile was created and it's going to be used. They have written this documentation, and they want to use this documentation, right? And this has been Esau's MO. Matter of fact, let me go here. What's that? Psalm 51, I think. Let's see. Let's see. War was in his heart. Let me see. War heart. Or smoother. Maybe it's the same scripture. 55. Psalms 55. Right, here we go. Right here. Let me click on this right here. Right. It says let me see. Right. So this is Psalms 55 and 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant, right? So what was his covenant? When you read about the North American Indians and all of the peace treaties between them and the United States government, they broke them all. But what were those peace treaties for? Those peace treaties weren't to maintain peace. The proof of that is they destroyed the North American Indians with war. The Gatling gun, right? When the men would go out and forage for food and different places to live, they go in and take the women and children, right? So the actions that preceded, or not preceded, but succeeded the peace treaties, right, show that those peace treaties weren't for peace. So what were they for? What it was for was to lull the North American Indians to sleep, if you will, right, to rock them to sleep. And then once they were asleep and once they were docile, they went in and attacked, man. So this has been Esau's MO since the beginning of the time, since he's come out of the womb. This is what he does. He writes things into documentation, and he makes his actions legal. Okay. So let me continue on. It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, right? When you read the documentation, right, from the so-called American citizen point of view, you would think that, okay, this is good things. These documents are like the Patriot Act. Oh, this is made to protect us from terror, right? This is what they do. This is their MO, right? So it sounds good, right, at face value, but really the intent of it is far more wicked, man. Right? So let me continue on here. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. You see? So this is his MO, man. This is what he does. He writes things into documentation to lull you to sleep, right? Makes it sound good to you. And then behind his back, he's got a sword, man. This is what he does. So let me go into these documents here, right? Actually, let me go here first. Let me go here first. This is Isaiah 10 and 1, right? It says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, right? So when you look into this word prescribed, right, you can do it two ways. You can go in here, right? Kathab, right? Play it.
Strong's H 3789. Kathav.
Right? So it means to write, describe, subscribe, recorded, to write up. You see that? To write, record, enroll, to write, inscribe, engrave, right? Write in, write on, to write down, describe in writing, to register, enroll, record, to decree, to be written. Okay, right? So when you break the word down, let's see if we get here when we go to online etymology. I never did it, so let's see what we can get here for prescribe. I got an idea, but prescribe word. Okay, it says to write down as a direction, right? From mid 15th century, from Latin prescribere, right before, prefix in writing, ordained, determined in advance. You see? So when they write things which they have prescribed, right? These things have been determined in advance. They know what they want, right? And what they want is what? To destroy our people, to destroy the 12 tribes of Israel, right? That's what they want, but they have to write it into legislation, right? Make it legal. Make the people think there's good intent behind it, and then attack them, right? So let's go here. I wanted to show something real quick, so you can read this whole thing. I got another one here about King Alfred's plan, but this was the one it was a little more easy to look at for your eyes instead of that black background. But I wanted to show one part. Where did I see it? Right, look at this, right? So lock them up indefinitely and terminate once and for all the minority threat, right? And what's the minority threat? The minority, who do they call minorities? Judah, Benjamin, Levi, right? Ephraim, Manasseh, Simeon, right? All the tribes of Israel, we are the ones that are considered the minority here in this country. So if they want to terminate it once and for all, what does that mean? To wipe you out, man, right? So there's another piece in here I wanted to read. Like I said, you can go and you can read this, right? So here it is. Target minority groups and organizations and their leaders, right? So it gives some of the groups. Surprisingly, they didn't have Black Hebrew Israelites listed in here, right? But let's read this here. It says, at the appropriate time to be designated by the president, the leaders of some of these organizations are to be detained only when it is clear that they cannot prevent the emergency, working with local public officials during the first critical hours. All the leaders are to be detained at once. Compiled lists of minority leaders have been readied at the National Data Computer Center. It is necessary to use the minority leaders designated by the president in much the same manner in which we use minority members who are the agents with central and federal, and we cannot, until there is no alternative, reveal King Alfred in all its aspects. Minority members of Congress will be unseated at once. This move is not without precedent in American history. You see this? So this is what they do, man, right? And then you can, like I said, you can read this whole thing. I wanted to keep it short. I'm already going longer than I anticipated, but let me go to this last scripture, right? This is Micah, okay, just to show you, you know, a race war is evident, or not evident, inevitable is the word I'm looking for. What did I type? Micah 5. I want Micah 5. Micah 5. Let me show you this, that it was prophesied that there'd be, and this is just the one scripture that I pulled up. There's a couple others that talk about race wars or Jake, our people being destroying, the other nations, right? So this is Micah 5:7. It says, "And the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people, as a dew from the Lord, as the showers upon the grass, that tarrieth not for man, nor waiteth for the sons of men." Okay, it says, "And the remnant of Jacob shall be among the Gentiles in the midst of many people, as a lion among the beasts of the forest, as a young lion among the flocks of sheep." What would a lion do amongst flocks of sheep? He'd tear them to pieces, right? "Who, if he go through, both treadeth down and teareth in pieces, and none can deliver," right? So he said he would go in amongst the Gentiles, which is what? The other nations, right? So this is what they're trying to induce, man. They're trying to induce this race war so they can then declare martial law and lock up you Jakes and kill you, man. All right, so that was just my thought. Hopefully that was edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Bahashim Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of GMS who rule well, and also honor and salutations to those of you who are of the hopeful elect. And with that, I say shalom.